Welcome, everybody. I am calling to order this Board of Education meeting. It is Monday, October 28th, 2024. We are in the Nashua North Boardroom, and it is 6:04 p.m. I will start off by requesting Ms. Lamphere do the roll call, and then she'll read the prayer, and then, everybody's learned now not to make eye contact with me. Ms. Giglio did. Can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Ms. Bishop?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. Prin?
Here.
Ms. Daniels-Williams?
Here.
Mr. Claffey?
Here.
Ms. Darling is not here?
She'll be
yet?
here later.
Okay. Ms. Giglio?
Here.
I am here. And Ms. Raymond?
Here.
Dr. Andrade and Mr. Posca are here. And Mr. Farley?
Here.
And Mr. Meares?
Here.
Thank you. Now the prayer. Almighty God, we have the high honor and the serious duty of managing the educational institutions of our beloved city. In our common endeavors, may we find a spirit of unity and understanding, which will enable us to face our multiple problems with an objective mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will be for the betterment and greater happiness of all of our fellow citizens. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so tonight we have no recognitions or presentations, so we will jump right into, I'm looking for a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I did not see who was the second? Oh, thank you.
Sorry. Okay. So we are quickly up at the first public comment. Mr. Johnson. Yeah, I'm going to look at it and then. Thank you. So I see that we have a para MOU on the topics for public comment. It's technically not on the agenda, but we discussed talking about this at this current meeting tonight. Because it has to do with contracts, it is a non-public for us, but with a motion, I would allow comment on the contract, comment on the MOU. So if anybody wants to make that motion, Ms. Raymond?
I move to allow public comments on the MOU during this comment period, given that many people are here who have to be at work very early tomorrow.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Before we vote, I do just want to, we have our counsel here. Can you just kind of guide us in a direction of what is appropriate to talk about in this? Because I know it has to do with contracts and negotiations, and I just want to make sure that I have some clear boundaries on what we can hear and talk about.
The boundaries are very clear. You can listen to whatever you'd like to listen to. You should not comment.
Okay. Okay, does everybody hear that? Okay, we'll have a non-public later where we can discuss this, but unless we want to enter into negotiations, we have nothing to talk about out loud right now. Okay? So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. As you all know, 3 minutes on the clock. I'll start the 15 minutes now. Gary Hoffman, come on down.
Gary Hoffman, 38 Perham Street. I'm also the president of the Nashua Teachers Union. Regarding the non-public, I'll just make a comment about that briefly. I believe it was last week, or the last two board meetings ago, this board did pass memorandums of understanding that approved payment for teachers teaching an extra class. As well. So I'm curious when you're in your non-public why this would be any different. But first thing I just want to briefly say, we did have an Ed Council meeting recently, and usually after Ed Council, one board member reports out, and I didn't see that in the agenda, but it really should be. There are some really important topics. So I do hope that someone reports on what happened at Ed Council. Now, the main reason I'm here is why a lot of people are here. And in fact, if you're here tonight because you would like this board to approve the memorandum of understanding that would pay paras and teachers in intensive needs program some extra money, would you stand up? We are here tonight because this district has an emergency. We have over 50 openings for paraeducators in this district. I counted today, there are 14 openings for special educators in this district. One of the reasons why this memorandum of understanding is so necessary is we absolutely need to make sure that these people who are working in understaffed programs and are receiving more work receive extra pay. They can't do more work for less. They have to do more work for more pay. That's just should be how it is. This memorandum of understanding would pay paraeducators an extra $25 a day only if their program has a vacancy. And it would pay special educators an extra $35 a day only if their program has a vacancy. Right there should be some savings. I also want to urge you to pass this. We have to realize the intensive needs program saves this district a tremendous amount of money. I remember the days where we really didn't have a strong intensive needs program. We had to pay for out-of-district placements. I also really hope you read the firsthand accounts and testimony that I sent to this Board of Education a few days ago. It was about 25 different statements, all from special educators. Heck, it was, I think, 12 just from Franklin Street alone. And even our national president, Randy Weingarten, recorded a video and urged this board to do the right thing. Pass the MOU for the intensive needs paras and special educators. Do it tonight. Do the right thing. Let's retain the staff in these important positions. And please do it tonight. Thank you.
Patty Gagnon.
Hi, Patty Gagnon, Taggart Drive. I'm actually reading a statement from one of our intensive needs teachers, Marielle, who works at Sunset Heights. I'm writing to advocate for the reintroduction of the MOU stipend for paraprofessionals working in understaffed classrooms within our district. Today marked the start of the 10th week of our rooms not being adequately staffed. As you are aware, our paraprofessionals play a crucial role in supporting both students and teachers, especially in environments where resources are limited and demands are high. Paraprofessionals are often the backbone of our special education programs, providing individualized support that is crucial for the success of high-need students. They offer personalized attention and guidance, helping students navigate the challenges of their daily routines and fostering their ability to communicate effectively. This support is particularly important for students who may struggle with social skills, verbal expression, or the complexities of everyday tasks. By working closely with these students, paraprofessionals help them build confidence and independence. They facilitate learning through targeted interventions, assist with social interactions, and provide hands-on support for ADLs such as personal care and hygiene. This not only enhances students' functional abilities, but also promotes a sense of autonomy and self-worth. We rely on our paraprofessionals to help carry over essential communication skills taught by our speech pathologists and through my direct instruction. For those who may not be aware, there are complexities involved in teaching communication skills, particularly for students who utilize AAC devices. This process is akin to teaching a new language. Teaching communication through AAC involves much more than merely providing a device. Students must learn not only how to use the device, but also how to express their thoughts, emotions, and desires effectively. This includes understanding the symbols, navigating the interface, and mastering the social aspects of communication. Supporting students in this journey is essential for the overall development and independence. As they gain confidence in using AAC devices, they can more effectively participate in classroom discussions and build relationships with peers. Currently, many intensive needs classrooms across the district are operating with inadequate staffing, placing an overwhelming burden on paraprofessionals who are often required to take on additional responsibilities. This can lead to increased stress and burnout, ultimately impacting the quality of education our students receive. Re-implementing the MOU for these dedicated individuals would not only recognize their hard work and commitment, but also help retain skilled staff in a challenged environment. With this MOU, we can ensure that paraprofessionals feel valued and motivated to continue providing the essential support of our students, continue providing the essential support that our students need, which can significantly reduce the need for more expensive out-of-district placements. The cost to the district for the MOU to pay a stipend to all 6 of my paraprofessionals would be $150 per day until all positions are filled. Now, if we were to continue to lose staff to other districts like Hudson, which offers retirement to full-time paraprofessionals, we could be faced with an increased need for out-of-district placements for intensive needs program students. The cost per day, excluding transportation, for a local elementary out-of-district placement like Valley Collaborative ranges from $250 to $319 per day per student. This would cost the district a minimum of $2,500 per day to place my entire self-contained classroom of 10 students. Our classroom at Sunset Heights were informed last week that additional staff would be allocated to our 3 programs in the coming weeks. We are hopeful that these valuable supports will start soon, as the understaffing still being experienced within our program leads to unsafe learning environment that disrupts our students' growth and progress across skill areas. Therefore, it is my hope that investing in our paraprofessionals in the interim will lead to an investment in our student success. I urge the board to continue this proposal seriously. To consider this proposal seriously, as it will foster a more supportive learning environment for both staff and students alike while potentially saving the district money in the long term. Thank you for considering the importance of this issue as we move together to provide the best possible learning environment for all of our students.
Thank you. Kim McGoke.
Good evening, Kim McGurk, 72 Charlotte Street.
Sorry.
I'm the district's head speech-language pathologist. I'm here to speak in hopes that you will support the MOU that is so important to our staff. I'm here actually speaking for all these people behind me. I've had the privilege of working in an intensive needs program since Nashua's and the state's very first preschool program opened in September of 1976. That was our first intensive needs program. A teacher, the speech pathologist, 2 paraprofessionals, and 6 little children in diapers, feeding systems, AAC, which we knew nothing about at the time. Since that time, I could not do my job, neither could anybody in my department do their job without the support of teachers and paraprofessionals, which was so eloquently stated by the previous speaker. It is essential that we keep experienced, skilled teachers and paraprofessionals in our district. I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. We've lost speech pathologists to other districts that pay more. We continue to lose paraprofessionals to other districts that pay more. This is a small expense in comparison to putting students in out-of-district placements. I implore that you consider adding this small amount to people's weekly paychecks so that they will stay here with us and continue to do the excellent work that they do and provide for our students.
Thank you. This brings us up to our superintendent's comments.
Thanks. So just recently, I would like to recognize the NEFI Award recipients. The National Education Foundation Excellence in Education Award, the NEFIs, is an annual event celebrating the excellence in instruction within the Nashua Public Schools. Teachers, administrators, parents, and students nominate teachers who significantly enhanced the learning experience of students. This year's winners were Laurie McIntosh at North, Jen Chandler at McCarthy Middle School, Lisa Renaud and Wendy DePennis. Ewan, I just butchered her name, I'm so sorry, at Mount Pleasant. Jen Gaffney at McCarthy. Tony Santorza at North. Pam Ruggieri at Fairgrounds. Bob Grace at Birch Hill. Courtney McDonald at Bicentennial. Stephanie Thomas at Brentwood. Stephanie Rouse at Fairgrounds. Bill McIntosh at South. Sharon Flesher and Kristen Hamlin at South. Maura Harrigan at Charlotte. And Kim Marlin at Fairgrounds Elementary School. Congratulations to all those winners. That night was a significant celebration, and I want to also thank the Nashua Ed Foundation. Also that night, there was the Ron Kraus Outside of the Profession Award, which went to Rick Dowd. So congratulations to all those winners. Additionally, I've been able to make several classroom and school visits and the observations, and it's wonderful to see our Tier 1 instruction and supports for our students in the classrooms. Unfortunately, the first half of the year, or September, we were a little busy with transportation, and I was kind of glued to my chair, but the last several weeks, I've been able to get into schools and see all the wonderful things going on in our classroom. Along those same token, I have been working with the CTE program. Our video production students, we released our first Gateway to Success episode, spotlighting the district's career and technical education program. Future collaborations with the class aim to showcase the many achievements across the district. We also will have planned our first community conversation with the superintendent. This will be a series of community conversations over the course of the year. These sessions will include an overview of the district's goals and provide an open forum for the community to provide some feedback. The first session is scheduled for December 2nd at 5:30 at the Nashua Library. And that's all the comments for tonight.
Now have board member response to the superintendent's comments. As usual, I'll start over here with Mr. Johnson.
No comment right now.
Okay. Ms. Prin?
No comment.
Ms. Daniels-Williams?
No comment.
Okay. Mr. Claffey?
No comment.
Ms. Gilio?
I'd like to congratulate all the Nephew Award winners.
Ms. Raymond?
Agreed. My kids have been lucky enough to have several of their teachers, and it's just really cool to see them recognized for their excellence. Can you repeat the date of the library thing? Because I didn't write it down fast enough.
12/2 at 5:30.
December 2nd?
12 to 5.
December 2nd at 5:30 at the library.
Fantastic. Will that be like a flyer or anything going out?
We'll send out a notification.
Yay, thank you.
Ms. Lampier?
No comment, thank you.
Excellent. And this brings us over to the student member of the board. I don't know how you guys are duking it out for going first, so.
All right, good evening. My time here on the board is slowly coming to an end, and how I know that is North has already elected my replacement. I'm excited to say that Sheikh Ahmed, a current junior, will replace me come January. Nevertheless, I'm still honored to sit here as the current student rep. In a few weeks, Nashua North will host the annual Powder Puff Game. For those who don't know, this is a fun and friendly senior class fundraiser where the girls become football players and the boys become cheerleaders. All in all, it's a really fun and entertaining afternoon, but with the unanticipated problems surrounding Stellos, the final date, time, and location are not currently finalized, but they will be published as soon as possible. Lastly, coming up is November 1st, the dreaded early application college deadline. This is a very stressful time for seniors, I can attest, but also for our guidance counselors. Our guidance counselors go largely unthanked, and so I strongly encourage any of the seniors, when the time is appropriate, to go to your guidance counselor and thank them for all their work. Other than that, I look forward to my final few meetings before I hand off the torch. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'd first like to remind everyone taking the PSAT at South tomorrow to charge their school-issued Chromebooks and to make sure that they work, because you don't want to have a dead Chromebook when you walk in tomorrow. In addition, the freshmen of the class of 2028 recently voted for their student leadership council members and student senate members. I look forward to working with the new South Student Senate in the coming weeks and months about anything they'd like to bring up to change South into a better place. I'd also like to congratulate the boys cross-country team for coming in 3rd place at the Division I championship meet at Dairyfield Park in Manchester this past Saturday, barely falling behind Bishop Girton and Pinkerton. And as such, they have qualified to move on to the Meet of Champions state meet this Saturday at Alvern High School. And then the following top 6 teams will then advance to go to Connecticut in the New England's meet. And parents of seniors, please listen in. Financial Aid Information Night is Wednesday, November 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the South Auditorium. And then Apply New Hampshire Day, also known as College Application Day, or formerly known as College Application Day, is Wednesday, November 13th. And on this day, students can apply to all New Hampshire colleges to waive the application fee. So if you're going to college in New Hampshire, this probably could be a big opportunity for you. Senior quotes are due November 11th, and the senior superlative voting ends November 14th. So those Google forms are going to be found in the Class of 25 Google Classroom, so make sure you go vote for those things. And this surprised me. Quarter 3 driver ed at South still has open spots, so I know it surprised me. If you are eligible to take driver ed and you want to do it through South, there's still some open spots, so sign up while you can. That's all for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We're going to miss you, Mr. Farley.
2 years has gone by like that, I can tell you.
It really feels like it, doesn't it? Yeah, when you look at it in meetings. Dr. Onward was saying last week, like, we have eight workshop meetings until the end of the year. And then I was like, wait, that's when you guys graduate, and my kid graduates, and I'm not ready for that. But yes, it's been very stressful at our house with powder puff and early decision, and I just like cry every day, but it's fine. Okay, being a mom is hard. Committee on Finance and Operations, I will hand the floor over to Ms. Lampier.
Oh, thank you. So I just wanted to start with a little synopsis of how our meeting went last time. So we approved the purchase of 2 new machines to keep our schools clean. We also signed on to a new 3-year contract for HVAC control maintenance in 4 of our buildings. We're moving forward with assessing the roofs of our 2 high schools, Amherst Street Elementary and Stello Stadium. We will also be upgrading our IT servers in this coming school year. Now, last meeting, I mentioned our contract services. I was concerned about them, so I just want to give you guys an update on that. The amount spent on contract services have been reduced. In August, we spent $235,000, and in the month of September, we spent only $165,000. However, during that same month, pupil support services rose from $35,000 spent in August to $104,000 spent in September. Both of these numbers are much larger than at this time last year. Last year, we spent $46,000 in pupil support services and $82,000 in contracted services in September. Some of the difference, of course, is caused by inflation. We always have to keep that in mind. And then, I do feel confident, however, that a large part of this increase has been caused by our inability to hire our own staff. So I'm going to go ahead with the motions now. The first motion is to approve the purchase of an NSS Charger 2022 DB at a cost of $14,760.72, and a Timberline SR 260 Rider at a cost of $15,693.40 for Nashua High School North. Funding will come from account 91.1.22.2620.7199, which is miscellaneous equipment.
Second the motion.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Let's see. The second motion tonight is a motion to approve the 3-year contract with Siemens Industry, Inc. for HVAC controls maintenance at Amherst, Sunset Heights, Dr. Crisp, and the SAU building. The year one cost will be $16,752. Year two will be $17,676, and year three will be $18,648. Funding will come from account 91.1.22.2620.54243 HVAC maintenance.
Second.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. I'm making a motion to approve the contract with ARM Consultants for roof assessment for the 2 high schools, Amherst Street Elementary and Stello Stadium, for $16,402.24. That funding will come from from the school district's deferred maintenance account.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Claffey. Any comments or questions? Ms. Raymond?
Has this already been done? Or was it done
It's
someplace else?
It's different buildings.
Different buildings.
Yes, we have.
Sorry, we have a lot of buildings.
Yeah. And this money is just to look at the building, look at the roofs, not to actually fix them or anything. It's just to see what we need to have done to them.
This is, gotcha.
And
This is to get a quote inspection.
I believe that Mr. Smith said in the last meeting that this should be it for the roof inspections that we need to do this year.
Okay. I mean, I think we have to do it. I mean, we got surprised by roofs last year, and I don't want to do that again ever. Yeah. My other question was Stellos. Is that included in what the alderman just did, or this is something that hasn't been looked at for Stellos?
No, I don't believe so. You answer this, Dr. Andre.
Yeah, so this is separate than tonight's package, going in front of the BOA.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, the next motion
Nope.
is, oh, sorry.
We have to vote.
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, just a quick question with the Stellos. Is that roof inspection, is that done before the repairs will be done or after? Or does it matter?
The repairs to what?
To Stellos.
So the BOA is only approving the turf, the fence, the cover, and the gates.
Yes.
So we were going to be addressing the facade and doing some upgrades on the roof and the AV station, but that's not a part of what's going in front of the BOA. That's what we had approved to go to the JSSBC.
Okay,
So we're splitting up between needs and wants right now, and we're focusing on the needs.
got it.
And the
Thanks.
wants will become needed if the roof falls in.
Right? That might be a problem.
That's how we tend to address things around here. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the purchase of 3 HPE ProLiant DL360 Gen 11 and associated components quoted from Bloom in an amount not to exceed $37,499.67. That will come from account 91.1.992225.53628.
Second that motion.
Thank you.
That was Ms. Daniels-Williams. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Now, a motion to approve the fiscal year 25 September transfer report.
Second.
Thank you.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I make a motion to approve the contract with SNF Construction Management in the amount of $48,950 with an additional $2,500 as construction contingency for a total of $51,450. Funding will be provided by the school district's deferred maintenance fund.
Second that motion.
Thank you. Comment?
Good question. So this is to do those repairs so that we don't end up with more roofs that are broken at Christmas time.
Correct. So this is, this wasn't on the F&O meeting this past month, but Mr. Smith felt some urgency in some of the work as we only have one meeting in November. So he was hoping that this would get approved tonight. Again, we approved consultants in a previous meeting to do some consulting work to essentially go out to bid on some of the work. In your packet, there are 3 quotes, but Mr. Smith is hoping that we can contract with SNF Construction Management sooner than later, just in case work has to get done before the winter. If we wait until November, award in December, he's just afraid that we're going to be too far behind the curve if anything needs to get done. So he's hoping that we will approve the recommendation this evening.
I have a question, Dr. Andrade. I didn't see the quotes in our packet.
I don't know what page, it's right,
44, thank you.
yeah. I was going to say, it's right before policy DK. I don't know which.
I guess I was going through too fast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so, I'm sorry, this is for them to handle the construction manager role on whatever repairs are found to be needed, and then we still don't have quotes for what those
What it might be. Yep.
Awesome.
Dr. Andrade, there's only one quote. I thought you were supposed to have 3 quotes.
First 3.
There's SNF, North Star, and Viking.
They go to the right.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I had zoomed in too far myself because the print is really tiny.
Thank you. Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That is it for finance and operations. Thank you, Ms. Lampier.
Thank you.
I liked your summary at the beginning, too.
Oh, thanks.
I will now hand the floor over to Ms. Raymond for Committee on Policy.
Thank you. We met last week, and we have only one that's up for a vote tonight, and then we did a lot of new ones last week, which are available for public comment or questions, but we don't have our vote until our next meeting. So I'm going to move that we rescind policy DK, time and effort. And if I have a second, I'll tell you why.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. So we are not actually getting rid of DK. At our last meeting, we approved at the full board policy DAF, which I didn't write down what it stands for, but DAF is about federal grant fund management, and all of the language from DK regarding time and effort for federal funding is incorporated in DAF. So now this is a redundant policy, and we don't need 2. We can just have 1. That's it.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. This brings us up to our Committee on Curriculum and Evaluation, so I will hand the floor over to you, Mr. Claffey.
Oh, I thought so there's no reading at all in the first reading?
So on the first, I can list them.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
Because ILBA and IL, which were our policy on assessments and our policy on evaluation of instructional programs, were vetted through the curriculum committee, and we didn't do anything with them in policy. We just said, curriculum committee has made a recommendation, and we're just going to forward it to the full board. So I
We
have
did make a
nothing to offer.
recommendation on IL, that's why I asked. I don't know if you recall.
You wanted to rescind it, right?
Right,
Yes.
okay. Red, so red.
And then the other ones are new. I'll just go through them real quick. One is updating contact information for Title IX. And then the others are policy on the school nurse, which we've just updated language since 2012. iClinics, we're recommending that go into the student handbooks. In reporting abuse and neglect, there are quite a bit of updates from the state since the last time we updated our policy, and the form has gotten longer from the state. And so we're recommending that we make the updates. It also is asking for additional training. I don't know when staff will fit that in, but the state wants us to do it, so. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Did I miss anything?
So the Curriculum and Evaluation Committee met last week. We had a presentation on middle school SAS scores, iReady scores, progress, attendance, enrollment. Dr. Andre, the three principals were here, and quite a bit of data. Looking back, the iReady gains or progress over the past year were pretty impressive. Dr. Andre, do you want to add?
No, I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. The three principals did a nice job just highlighting the successes in the school and still some of the needs, especially around Tier 1 instruction. We looked at a number of years of SAS scores, but the one that I found really interesting over the course of the first month was our attendance and discipline. So we've seen a nice increase of our daily attendance where we're hovering around 95% in all three schools, which is a nice rate at that point. So we know that truancy can be an issue, but our students are coming to school and our teachers are doing a great job educating them.
I'm calling myself. So if we're hovering around 95%, when can we start thinking about doing blizzard bags?
Doing what?
Doing blizzard bags, because you have to have like 80%. If we're increasing that, then we could decrease missed days. Just to throw a wrench into this whole thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just all for getting out of school as early as we can. Ms. Lampier?
So I wasn't able to attend the curriculum meeting, but I watched it from home, and the principal from Pennachuck brought up the science scores, and they were not really good. And I wondered if we have a plan to get them up.
Yeah, I think over the last several years, we've made a concerted effort to implement Amplify Science K-8. So I think at this point, all of our students, and it has been implemented at this time, we have 2 middle school coaches who are working with all of our staff, and I think a lot of there's a significant amount of coaching cycles going on at the elementary level at this time. At the same time, we've seen some, with the restructuring of the staff, we've seen some new staff come into the middle school levels. So we have a lot going on, but I think we're aware of all the changes that are occurring at this time. I think what we do see is I think we see some, although the scores aren't where we want them to be going forward, we do see the progression going in the right direction, and I think that's what we're trying to build upon going forward and working on implementing the curriculum with fidelity.
That sounds great. I'm curious to see how they'll do the next time they take a test. Do they test for social studies as well? No, just the science, math, and reading?
It's science.
Yes.
Science is only in 8th grade.
It's only, okay.
5th
All
and 8th
right.
grade.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Raymond?
Thank you. Just to follow up on that, is Amplify having any hands-on activities in the middle school now? I know when my kids were in middle school, a lot of the Amplify science lab type things we would think of were computer simulations, and it just sounds incredibly boring and not getting kids excited about science. I just remember being, in 7th grade science, and we were lighting stuff on fire and dissecting, frogs and stuff. Is there anything, and I know at the elementary school, I've seen them, they make these motion machines, they play with marbles and forces, and that's fun and exciting and get kids excited about science. But are we losing kids because we're not having hands-on stuff, or did I just not get the explanation of the hands-on stuff from my own kids?
No, I think that's
Because
one of
that's
the beauty-
possible too.
I think that is one of the significant aspects of Amplify Science is a balance between the simulations and hands-on experiences. But I would agree with you, you learn science by doing science. So that is the importance of trying to do a little bit of both.
And then just a follow-up question. I noticed on the data from the curriculum committee about some of our extracurricular things. So I know that things really dropped off during COVID and after COVID. Is there anything that we can do to help encourage our students to get back involved in band, chorus, and sports? I mean, the sports data was here, and we have about 200 kids less participating in middle school sports, and we just spent millions of dollars making sure that we had equitable access to outdoor spaces and gyms for all of our students to kind of get them excited about that extracurricular. What else can we do as a community to help make this easier for families?
Yeah, just keep on promoting, you know, and unfortunately, I think there's a lot more competition at the middle school and outside
Club sports, yeah.
club sports or other activities that makes it difficult as well. So, and again, we can get into some of the philosophy where I wish we had like no cuts at the middle school.
Right.
So you lose someone in 6th grade because there's only one soccer team. You know, the likelihood that you lose someone in 6th grade that they're going to try out for an activity in 7th and 8th grade is not that high. So it's, I think we have to promote and then look at our offerings and philosophies. I remember it was a couple of years ago, we even talked about how do we bring back intramurals, where kids want to bring it, like play intramurals and just kind of activities, but there's a lot more competition for after-school activities as well.
Right. I mean, I feel like our co-curricular activities are really some of the things, like with science, that get kids excited about coming to school and really get that buy-in of being there. Like, you know, I'm going to do well in my classes so that I can continue to play the sport that I love, or, you know, be in drama, or, you know, some of the other things. So I'd really love to see us beef that up at the middle school well, at the elementaries too, but at the middle school, so that we can feed into our high school programs, which are fantastic. That's all.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Well, this brings us over to our Committee on Human Resources, so I will hand the floor over to Ms. Gilio.
Okay. I'm looking for a recommendation to suspend the rules to consider items from the HR committee meeting held earlier this evening.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. We recommend the approval of the personnel recommendations of October 28th as presented earlier.
Okay. Second.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
That's it.
Okay, so unfinished business. We'll go on to new business. For that, I will hand the floor over to Dr. Andrade.
I'm actually going to, tonight there's a recommendation to approve a MOU with Friends of AIN in School Grief Peer-to-Peer Support Program. And I'm going to ask if Allison is still here. Yep, if she can come down to provide a little background on the services provided.
Hi, Allison Bennett. I'm school outreach counselor at Pennachuck Middle School. Thank you for giving this important topic time tonight. So Nashua School District has enjoyed a partnership with Friends of Anya for several years. Our counselors have been trained. All of our educators have access to the educator portal that allows teachers to log on with their nashua.edu address and learn how to support grieving children after the death of a parent, guardian, sibling, grandparent. And the partnership has been wonderful. They have provided grief groups, peer support groups at their center in Manchester for many years. And through this partnership, we realized that transportation barriers and families working prevented some kids from being able to access these really important grief groups. We know that grief shows up in our classrooms, and it can often look like depression and anxiety. They could be tired, their grades are impacted, and they often don't have anyone to talk to about it. It's hard to find a therapist trained in grief with waiting lists and insurance. And so what we often look to do as counselors and social workers and school psychologists in our department is, what do our kids need and how can we break down those barriers to get that for them in school? And so what I'm asking tonight, we're very lucky that Friends of Anya has selected Pennachuck Middle School as one of their site locations where their trained grief counselors will come to Pennachuck Middle School. I will co-facilitate, so I will be in every group. They will run a group in school for students who have had a loss. We will be getting parent permission slips, and like I said, I would be in those meetings and will be able to provide ongoing individual support for those students ongoing because they're in our building. Depending on the need and interest, they are willing to run another 8-week session. And once again, this is all free. And I feel really good about our partnership with this incredible organization. And I think it would be wonderful to be able to provide this for our kids who are grieving. Any questions about how that might look? Yes, Heather?
Can you speak a little bit about the outreach to parents and how parents are able to opt into the program?
Great question. So what we have done at Pennachuck over the years is I send a message out to all parents and guardians at the beginning of every school year. And I introduce myself and I say, if your child has experienced the death of a family member, sibling, and you would like resources, please let me know. Sometimes we learn about students, an elementary school counselor might tell the middle school counselor about this, but often we don't. And especially with getting new students from Pennachuck, from all the middle schools this year. And we might say to the parent, they don't have to join the group, but that's one of the options. We can also provide parent resources through Friends of Anya with their grief backpack, which sends a backpack home with a student that parents can have books and resources and articles. And so I do that every year. This year, instead of me just meeting individually with the students, I'm going to be able to provide this with a grief counselor. So parents they were notified that I'm offering grief support. The students have to buy in middle school, right? We can't have them do it if they don't want to do it. So I'm hoping that they will agree, and if so, then the permission slip will go home to the guardians, and once that is back, they will be able to be in the group.
And how does the program protect the privacy of students? Because I know a lot of kids at this age don't particularly want all their peers to know what kind of, losses that they've suffered at home.
It's a great question. I think especially at the middle school. I can talk about last year. We had this group at Pennachuck. I facilitated it, and it was more about individual counseling because it wasn't through Friends of Anya. We took a field trip to Friends of Anya. Myself, another counselor, Callie, the social worker from North, came as well. And we had a group of kids, and they participated in a whole day event on site. And part of that was talking about how we respect each other's privacy and what we keep here. And the peer-to-peer support at this age, they will listen, I think, much more likely from a peer than an adult in some ways. And to see another child who maybe you've seen in the hall and you had no idea that they might be feeling what you're feeling proved to be really powerful. And they held that information really well. It was not something that ever was an issue. And students do have to be okay with joining the group and knowing that, they have to opt in. We need their buy-in for sure. And it's all 3 grades, which I also liked because I found some of our 8th graders who had more confidence and maybe were a little further along in their grief journey, really were excellent role models and gave permission to some of the younger students that it's okay to cry and to miss your loved one. And that, I think, can be really powerful as well.
Ms. Lanfear? I just wanted to say, my older son was 21 when his younger brother, who was 8, died. And he was in college and he struggled a lot with work, with school, with everything. And one of the things that was most difficult for him was that he didn't know anyone else who was in a similar situation. So I think the value of this program is enormous. And I just wanted to thank you for the work that you do with the kids.
Thank you, and I'm sorry for your loss. Thanks, too.
Yeah, I just want to second what Ms. Lampier said. When I was, just a little disclosure, everyone knows this anyway, but when I was 15, my dad died and I did one of these programs, and I'm still unbelievably close with the kids who were in my grief group. And then I ended up doing my undergrad social work and grief counseling for kids. That's my little forte. So I'm incredibly impressed that this is going on in the schools, and I think you're absolutely right that the peer support it surpasses any other kind of support that you can possibly have. So I'm glad that it's here and that you guys have the training for it. And my daily cry is in today, so congratulations.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So all those in favor of approving the MOU, well, we need to make the motion first. So I'll make the motion to approve the MOU for Friends of Anya in School Grief Peer-to-Peer Support Program for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
And Ms. Raymond seconds. Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And the last of the new business tonight is a recommendation to approve a contract with Robert Half for professional placement of a district accountant in the amount not to exceed $25,000, or 20% of the fee from account 91.1.01232.53628.
Would you like to speak to what this contract is?
So as you know, in our business office, we've been trying to find an assistant BO since, it's a name drop, since Derek Danielson left, and we've been struggling through the traditional means. We're hoping to reach out to an agency to help look for a district accountant to fill this role. It's just been the traditional means has not really fostered viable candidates, so we're looking for some help in this regard. So in your packet, there's 2 quotes, both around 20%, and we're hoping that the cost will not exceed the $25,000, but we need to shore up our business office.
Ms. Raymond?
I'll make the motion to approve the contract, but I have a question.
Okay, I'll second it.
So my question is, do we think that this could end up being like a temp to hire situation, or is this simply a contractor until we find a different person to fill the role?
Robert Half will hopefully recruit someone so that we can hire full-time. So it could start out as a temp to hire, but really what we're looking for Robert Half is to be that headhunter for us to find the right person.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing,
I have a
Ms.
question.
Lampier?
Can you explain why you went with the Robert Half instead of the KBW? They both say around 20%, so.
Yep. So Ms. DeGray's not here tonight. She contacted both agencies in her prior life. Prior to coming to Nashua, she actually did a lot of work with Robert Half in her previous roles when she was working at Fidelity and other services. So she had some comfort and knew more of their background. So a little familiar with their work.
All right, that's good. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the contract with Robert Half, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. It's time for liaison reports. JSSBC has been rescheduled to Wednesday. We weren't able to make a quorum last week, but we did have Ed Council that Mr. Johnson and I were at. And do you want to tag team this liaison report? I didn't write anything up, but we were both intently listening.
Yeah, I don't have anything written up, but I do have Gary Hoffman's middle school report, which showed that there was a lot of concerns with the
Push-in program.
Yeah. So, that's something that we'll have to discuss further. It's the beginning of the year, so it's hard to say. The one thing that was the positive was that the teachers at the middle school seem accepting of the 6-period day, so that seems to be working, but the rest of it, not so much.
Well, I think with the change in the leveling, it was kind of a mixed bag, but it was definitely not as negative as I was expecting it to be.
Right,
I was pretty proud to hear that. The next couple steps are, we're going to finish up with his survey, make recommendations in regards to the changes that have been happening at the middle school, to see if they're working, if they're not working, if they're not working, how can we shore them up?
Yep.
So this is an ever-evolving conversation, and I think everybody is dedicated to the outcome in regards to what's best for the students. So
Definitely.
so it was a fun meeting. I don't think we had any other special meetings.
I would say with one other thing is to just let people know that they should check out Donors Choose, because part of the discussion was about those programs, and that we encourage parents out there to look at Donors Choose for the Nashua schools.
Okay. Ms. Raymond?
I have a question about that. So I don't understand, I think I just don't understand what push-in model is versus heterogeneous grouping, because we had a lot of meetings where we talked about de-leveling and having everybody get the tier 1 instruction and get the grade level instruction. How does that intersect with push-in? Because that is not a term that I had heard before this year.
So kind of keeping it simple as far as where is the special education services being provided? So that's the question. So in one model, the special education services to push in is that the special education services are happening in a content classroom, whether it's ELA, math, science, or social studies, as opposed to a pull-out model where the special education services might be happening in a smaller classroom, or it's a different track. So those are, where is the services happening? And there is some flexibility at the middle school depending on where the students are and what the special education teacher feels a student might need additional resources. So, for example, I was at McCarthy today and I saw the special needs teacher with a small group of teachers or students in a small class, and then they were returning back to the team afterwards. So depending on what the students need, but majority of the special education services are happening in class as opposed to a different pathway, which is more of a pull-out service.
Is that a change from how we've done it in prior years?
It would depend on the building, quite honestly. I think there's a lot of different models happening.
Okay. Will the feedback process continue where we get a better idea of, as this goes forward, what we're learning from it?
Absolutely.
Ms. Daniels-Williams, and then Ms. Lampier.
So I know that we've had a lot of talk on what the recommendation is, and with these changes, what was the recommendation of when the federal government came for these pull-in, pull-out in separate classes?
From the Department of Justice, they did not review that was for ELL and not special education.
Okay, so I guess Heather will be able to speak to that with the policy that we have of the pull in and pull out, because I know that because of some shortage or in some things, I know that it's been a little different than it has been before.
Again, in general, we're always looking for students to be in the least restrictive environment. And
That's
so,
the law.
Right.
That's the law.
Yeah. And then where those services, depending on the student's IEP, where are those services being provided, depending on the level of need. One thing that we always have to concentrate on or look to is what's the student's access and opportunity to that tier 1 instruction. So, our special ed programs and students having access to grade level standards. So, and we want that to happen in the least restrictive environment. So that's the direction that we need to go and the level of support that's going to be needed.
Ms. Raymond?
Thank you. So just to kind of,
Oh, I'm sorry, I had Ms. Lampier next.
oh, go, Ms. Lampier.
Are you sure? So I was just going to ask, because our special education department is not fully staffed, and because our paras aren't fully staffed, the teachers that are in the main classrooms that are having these push-in services, are they receiving the support that they need to teach to all the people that are in their classroom?
So we've always can do better. So, I mean, in full transparency, we need more professional development for them.
So when will the professional development take place?
So we are working with the middle school principals this year, or in the next couple of weeks. We talked about a program coming in specifically around differentiation. So we have, it'll be rolling out, I think there's a couple offerings on November 5th around a platform that adults, the teachers can actually use to actually differentiate their lessons. So I know there's a couple sessions on this upcoming professional development day.
Well, I know that the teachers were very concerned about the heterogeneous, classrooms rather than the leveled and stuff. And I just, from reading some of the responses to the questionnaire for the middle school teachers, it seemed like the combination of the somewhat larger classrooms this year, the heterogeneous, and the push-in services, and the lack of staff, it just seems like it's pushing some of these teachers to the breaking point. And it seems like, maybe we were a little bit too optimistic. Maybe we could step back a little bit, because although, we want to make these changes. Of course, we want kids to be in the least restrictive environment. But to us, if we say, in 6 months, or it might take 6 months to adjust and it'll all fall together and people will get used to the new system, that's 6 months of kids maybe not receiving the best education from us. So, I mean, I don't know, have you guys thought about maybe, to me, the thing that would be that makes the most sense to change would be to kind of cut down on the push-in services for right now. Is that a possibility?
I think we always review the data as it comes in, depending on how the students are doing, but that's a team decision that we review.
Okay, I mean, I just, I hope that, the teachers and the paras are the ones that have the hands-on contact with the students. So I do hope that we value their thoughts on something like this.
Absolutely.
Even if it's not something that we as board members or as administrators that aspire to the best might not be comfortable. We're not the ones that are there every day. So, okay.
I'd also be looking forward to the feedback from the parents, how they feel their students are doing in this new model. I mean, we have to remember they're part of this team too. Okay, so that ends our liaison reports.
Just a real quick thing.
sorry,
I
Mr.
just
Johnson.
wanted to thank Gary for taking the time to put this together, because I think it was very informative of letting us know, where the teachers' feelings are on a lot of these things, and it definitely helps us going forward.
Yes.
I do have one more question.
Ms. Raymond?
It was mostly Ms. Lamphere's question, but this also triggers, so in the past, a lot of times Ed Council focused quite a bit on disciplinary issues and behavioral issues, but I noticed during the curriculum data, when I was watching it on TV, that it seems like discipline is not the #1 issue that it has been in the past, and I'm wondering if that is just my impression of it, or if in fact things have gotten a little bit better.
That was exactly what I asked in the meeting.
I don't know the answer because I wasn't there.
We didn't, yeah, they didn't have the data they didn't
We don't
have
have
the
data? Okay.
Yeah, and there is a discipline subcommittee task force that's looking at discipline across the what's that? K to 12.
K-12, okay. Yeah, because I hear anecdotes about kids coming in with more behaviors. I think we've all kind of seen it out there. But I'm wondering about, supports and if any of the things that we're doing are working.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. This brings us up to our second public comment period. And we do have our esteemed attorney here waiting to talk to us, so maybe we can forego board member comments after so we can get to the other work that we have to do. Okay, we have 4 people signed up, so I think that's good. Okay, Gary Hoffman?
Gary Hoffman, 38 Perham Street. First of all, thank you for speaking about Ed Council. I think it's good to hear what the staff is thinking sometimes. The Ed Council is such a valuable committee, and it's the only real venue where the school board, the superintendent, and the teachers can sit and talk about issues going on in our district. And I think this study that we're doing on the changes in the middle school are going to benefit the elementary level and the high school level. And, I agree the push-in model was the one that was most concerning. You had 154 people responded to the survey, only 6 gave it a positive response. That's pretty definitive. Regarding the homogeneous grouping, about 30% of the respondents did give it a positive rating. I think it would have been a lot higher if, as Regan pointed out, all these things weren't done at once. All that combined was a real tough thing to do at once. And the push-in special education model, this was something that was sort of at the end. And some of my friends on the middle school committee said that it wasn't really spoken about much. So I really hope that when we look at change in the future, we can use this study at the end and learn from it, that when you're going to make transformative changes, if you're going to do it, we're going to prepare for it. Honestly, we didn't prepare for these changes. I don't think anybody, and I don't think anyone in this room would disagree with me. There's no professional development on the push-in model. There was no professional development on homogeneous grouping. That stuff should have happened, quite frankly, especially when we increased class sizes at Fairgrounds and McCarthy, when we changed the demographics of the 3 schools. We changed a lot of curriculum this year. A lot of people pointed that out. So and then on top of it, we have this difficult issue in our special education department, the intensive needs. And I do hope at some point this night, somebody makes a motion to go into non-public so that memorandum of understanding that we're all here to support gets discussed. Because you can have all the professional development that you want. If you don't have people, you don't have anything. And we have to retain our paras and teachers in this district. And that's what this MOU will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Ryan?
Hi, Jennifer Ryan, 7A Harvard Street. I just wanted to touch on the MOU for the intensive needs paras. I was an intensive needs para for a few years. I'm now the behavior para over at Amherst Street this year. But I myself have been being pulled away from dealing with children's behaviors, which is my job, to help in intensive needs because they don't have the coverage and they don't have the paras. And there are paras that are working with 2 and 3 kids at a time that are, quite frankly, it's unsafe. And I've seen a lot of safety issues regarding kids and how it's unorganized chaos in those classrooms. And I think that the MOU would help these paras and they should be compensated for it. I even myself feel like I should be compensated for being pulled away from my job to help in another classroom. And I've seen these kids, and these paras are burnt out. We've lost quite a few paras, and we're not even into November yet. We've lost a few paras because they couldn't do it. They're burnt out, they're tired, they're underpaid, they're overworked, and they don't feel like they're appreciated or seen. So, I mean, I really would think that it's maybe something for you guys to consider for not only their sake, but every para in the district in intensive needs that deserves it. So that's just really all I have to say.
Thank you. Jane Reddick.
Hi, we're going to make a dual statement from Jane and Michaela, so if you could set the timer for 6 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jane Rudock, and I work at Franklin Street as a speech-language pathologist.
Hi, I'm Michaela Ahern, and I work at Franklin Street as a preschool intensive needs teacher.
So Cam and Patty did a fabulous job in kind of giving you their perspective, the history about intensive needs classrooms, and then Patty's para, who helped you write that, right? Oh, a teacher. Okay, a teacher in the intensive needs program. But I thought what Michaela and I could do is kind of give you a picture inside a classroom, our classroom, as to why we really feel like the MOU should be considered. In this classroom, in the morning, we have 8 identified children with IEPs. 4 of those children are nonverbal. They need the kind of supports that Patty and Cam talked about. These children don't have basic communication to tell you they're hurt, they're hungry, to ask for more of something, to ask for help. And the way we teach that is through using a visual system, and somebody has to be by their side to teach that when those situations arise. So we have 4 kids like that. One student has global developmental delays. He sees a vision specialist, a PT, an OT, and me, speech and language pathologist.
On top of myself, as a special ed teacher and a para.
And he, for safety, for eating, toileting, he cannot do anything fine motor for himself. He cannot walk in the hallway without support. He needs a one-on-one. We've applied for that, but he does not have a one-on-one at this point. We have one other student who has very significant behavioral needs. So, and then we have 3 other kids. Those 8 kids come Monday through Thursday. Monday is supposed to be our day where we focus just on those kids, and the other day we have 5 play pals that are in the classroom. On Mondays, up until recently, we've had a teacher and 2 paras. One of those paras had to be with that one child that out of safety reasons, we needed that para to be there. The second para had to be with all the other kids while Michaela is trying to teach.
And while I'm running my circle, I'm taking data, I'm helping with like timing, aggression towards adults and other behaviors. I'm trying to teach the paras how to implement all of this, and sometimes there's just not enough of us to go around.
And the reason why, so on Mondays, we had 2 paras for the classroom in morning and afternoon. And on Thursday, we had 3 paras in the afternoon, but 2 in the morning. And the reason why we don't have full para, or one of the reasons, staffing, is one of our amazing paras who was a parent of a child in Michaela's classroom, worked full-time for the preschool. She gave up a job in retail. She was working 4 part-time jobs last year to have the income that she was making in retail. And she told us she couldn't do it. She couldn't do it. She was working 7 days a week. And so there's a picture of what our classroom is like. And right now, there, I believe, are 7 paras, if I'm right, shortage, at Franklin Street, and more classrooms are opening up. And so it's just going to grow.
And, I know a lot of you are sitting here and right now, when you make this MOU decision, we're not saying, hey, give us more money because we're intensive needs. We're asking, please give us compensation for doing not only our jobs, but the job of a whole nother person that hasn't been hired yet. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay. How do we feel about going into non-public, or do we want to do board member comments?
No.
I thought we weren't doing board member.
I have no
I just wanted to double check before I make a motion to go into non-public. None?
So I'm sorry, are you asking if we want to do board member comments and then non-public, or non-public and then come back?
We'll come back, or do we want people to wait for us to come back in to do board member comments, or do we want to do them now?
Oh, I don't think anyone really wants to hear our comments.
I would say, does our audience care about our board member comments?
We can just run through a quick no comment.
We can do quick ones. Remember, our attorney has said that we cannot speak on, because it's an open negotiation, so we can't speak to the MOU. So if you're planning on speaking about that, I have to keep you on a short leash per the law. Okay? So do we want to do a quick round the table? Do you have any board member comments, Mr. Johnson?
No comment at this time.
Ms. Prin?
No comment.
Ms. Daniels-Williams?
No comment.
Mr. Claffey?
Oh, this is a first. No comment.
I just want to say how grateful I am for every person in this audience, because we need you guys.
Yes, agreed. Ms. Giglio?
No comment.
Ms. Raymond?
No, I have nothing right now.
Okay. Ms. Lampier?
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to go into non-public over RSA 91A32E, considering negotiation of pending claim.
Nope. Yeah, it is negotiation.
Yeah. Okay. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Darling. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are now in non-public. It is 7:21, and we'll be wrapping up and turning off the recording from here, so. Thank you, guys.